Hey everyone, welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. So excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies, TV shows, and I also do random other geeky films. Occasionally, not so geeky ones too. And I also like to mix things up once in a while by not reviewing anything. Hope you enjoy Smash Trivia Presents The Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening if they can please do something for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. And Smash Trivia has a Patreon too, so please check that out. We have some fantastic extra content on there. I bet you'll have a Hulk smashing good time. The tiers are as follows: $1 a month is Hulkaholic for $1, $3 a month is the Reading Room with Hulky and Shulky, and $5 a month is Smashing the TV. I also now offer custom trivia games on Fiverr, so if you want to take your game night to the next level, you can hire me. A link to the Fiverr is in the episode description. The Gamma Analysis is also a part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Now that we have all that important stuff out of the way, let's smash right into this episode.
You know what's cool? Podcasts. You know what's not cool? No podcasts. Check out all the podcasts over here at blindknowledge.com. This podcast you're listening to right now is a featured Blind Knowledge podcast.
Hey everyone, post-editing John here, real quick to warn you that there is potential spoilers for an upcoming film from 50 minutes in to 1 hour into this episode. So you may want to skip that entire section if spoilers bother you. Also, I realize as this is our 69th episode. Nice! Alright, I'll let past me begin. Hello, my Gamma friends, and today I am joined by my co-host Keith. How you doing, Keith?
I'm doing great, John. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Today we're reviewing Renfield. This is a film that takes on the Dracula story, but it's told through the lens of Renfield, his servant, and which partially the reasons I chose to review this one. Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage. It's really cool, honestly, him getting to play a Dracula in this. But also, there's a lot of like a green color with that's like associated with this film, which is honestly surprising for a vampire film.
Yeah, very true. Stylistically, they were all over with the colored lighting, which was very perfectly set it apart from previous ones. However, I do remember watching a little known movie called Nosferatu that had a lot of play with color in a re-release that I saw.
I will.
First, we can get into that when you talk.
First, before that, I just want to real quick say again, as always, our Hulkaholic for $1, we have Derek Sager, Gabriel Floral, Film Critter, and Stephen W. So Nosferatu.
Yes.
So I sent you a message about this earlier this week, saying that this is that I want to bring up that I find really interesting a connection with this film. So, Nicholas Hoult, who plays Renfield in this, is set to be in a Nosferatu film next year.
Yes, is it Robert Eggers?
Which is yes, Nosferatu? Robert Eggers.
Yes,
and I find that really interesting because isn't Nosferatu? I've never seen any Nosferatu films before, but I've heard it's actually is also supposed to be based on the on Bram Stoker's Dracula.
As far as I understand, actually, that's a good thing to double check right now. I know that I was just saying that with
From
my
what
wife.
I
Actually, my
read,
recollection of it is it's very similar to the at least the
what
way the
so
plot comes out.
from what I read, it is a non-official adaptation of it because
Right.
as they legally couldn't have it be a Dracula. Um,
Yes.
I'm and then to make the similarities even more or weird. Um, who I've heard that Nicholas Hoult will be playing in Nosferatu is also gonna be a real estate person in that.
Oh, more than likely, it's
Like
the
he's
character.
like
Absolutely,
yeah. So
Renfield-based character.
no, so what I read is that he will be playing in that the at in this like real estate office is he will be playing the character whose boss is based on Renfield.
Oh, really? It's his
Yeah,
boss. Oh, okay, so he's not
which
actually
is
making
it's
the
like
Renfield isn't really making the trip out. It's a
yeah,
underling.
I found that really interesting. And then and to make the connection even more, apparently Robert Eggers has wanted a Nicolas Cage to be in the film, but Nicolas Cage turned it down.
Oh, well, that's very
So
sad.
like there was a lot of similarities between that and this.
I'm not sure I would honestly want Nicolas Cage in a Robert Eggers film because he has his place in media
I
and film,
think
and I think he's a little too out there. Like, don't get me wrong,
mhm,
Robert Eggers has made some out there movies. The Witch and The
uh,
Lighthouse are both insane, but they leave the more insane roles to Willem Dafoe.
mhm.
He seems to really love
I
Willem Dafoe's way
yeah.
of commanding that kind of thing.
I think
But
it's
Nicolas
so
Cage is a little too camp, in my opinion.
Robert Egerton has said that he wants to work with Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage is like right after unbearable the weight of massive talent came out. He had like in an interview told everybody about his list of dream directors he wants to work with, and Robert Eggers was one on that list, and
Oh
that's
man,
why. Um, like I do you think that Nosferatu feels different enough that it won't be weird that Nicholas is Holt is basically gonna be playing a very similar role in that as well.
I think primarily two reasons why I think it'll be different enough is right there. It's that it is a remake of a different movie, and also Robert Eggers
Mhm,
is incredibly gifted at telling folk like grounded folklore tales,
mhm,
and he's very good at the historical aspect of it. He's very good at getting accurate representations of what the world would have been like back then in those times. He does a bunch of
mhm.
different movies that are all period pieces. um I do think it will be different enough as well in tone because Robert Eggers
Well,
movies,
yeah,
if they're funny, they are not like Ben Schwartz kind
yeah.
of style. They're funny more so in the sense that, oh, this is so ridiculous because this person has ingested this substance and is having a like
Mhm.
dream walk or something. You know what I mean? Like they have these
Yeah.
kooky moments that are not necessarily played for that same.
Or how I saw a lot of people laughing online after the Northman came out because I've never watched the film, but I heard apparently they CGI a penis into it.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
I
and people
did not.
think that's funny.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I've only seen it the one time. It's, in my opinion, his weakest of three movies that I've seen. Um,
Mhm,
The Northman. It is good.
mhm,
It's a little slower pace than his other stuff and a little less I don't know, it's a little less engaging. I think if you're a big Viking fan, you would love it, but
yeah,
my favorite of his is absolutely The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson
mhm.
and
Yeah, I've heard a
Willem
lot of good
Dafoe.
stuff about that.
That kind of so that the craziest moments of a Robert Eggers movie is when two lighthouse attendees are marooned on the island that they're working on, and they're also both incredibly alcoholic dependent, and they run out of rum and they start chugging like fuel. just to get fucked up.
Wow.
And they are dancing and sloshed, and they are like, they have like a slow dance tender moment because they are so alone at this little island. And it is a really fucking crazy watch. I would highly recommend that movie.
Obviously, this goes a lot further than what I'm about to mention. But I want to ask: have you ever seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movies?
Of course, yes, I've seen the first
because
four.
because the what you're describing reminds me of the where's the rum gone on scene from one of the Pirates films.
It's exactly like that. But to a like much more like realistic version of like they're so drunk they actually just have a conversation where they both mistakenly think they heard the other say something and they say what back and forth with more intensity and insanity. Like they're
I
mean
that feels like something Jack Sparrow would do.
That's true too. That's true.
But he doesn't.
He did have
that scene.
He did have to rope together a couple of turtles. A couple of sea turtles.
So, one other thing I want to talk about before we start our talking about actually Renfield, is that earlier today, a leaker for Marvel films talked about that I find interesting, which is some of the directors that are being thought about for Secret Wars.
Oh yeah.
I want to ask you think of any of these choices?
This is my first time hearing about any of this. I'm excited.
So, one of them is Jon Favreau.
Okay.
Which I think would be a lot of fun. Another is John Watts, who does Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
And I think with how he did with No Way Home, with having the previous Spider-Man and in there, and they don't feel like they're just nostalgia bait. They actually feel like they're relevant to the story. I think that actually might make a lot of sense because Secret Wars is obviously gonna have a lot of nostalgia bait from characters returning.
Very true.
And then another is Daniel Destin Cretton, and who he is doing in Kang Dynasty. He's who did Shang-Chi. And now he's doing Kang Dynasty, and he's apparently expressed interest in also doing Secret Wars after that. And then finally, the last of the ones that's apparently being considered is one that I expect you're probably not going to like.
Sam Raimi. Sorry.
Like, to be honest,
excuse me.
I like Multiverse of Madness, but I don't want him to direct Secret Wars.
He has a time and place.
So the reason
1989.
The reason I don't want him to direct Secret Wars is because I want Secret Wars to feel like the most Marvel movie Marvel has ever made. I don't want any specific director's style in it, and I want because I don't want it to feel more like a director's film than a Marvel film. I want because of the particular film that this is.
I would be so absolutely fine with it being either Destin Daniel Cretton or John Watts, especially because they've shown their stripes. They've earned it. And I don't really want to see Jon Favreau do it, only because I think that he's found a really nice niche with Mandalorian, and I don't really want to see him come back.
Yeah, I can see that.
Break hearts, you know what I mean? I think the other guys should pursue it on. I think John Watts should do it, to be honest. Especially if Daniel Cretton has Dynasty already.
I can definitely see that, but I'm thinking for with Jon Favreau, I definitely understand that with the Star Wars thing. I think that would definitely be a very big reason he might turn it down, which there actually have been reports that he might have turned it down. But I also, but mainly why I think that would be cool if he were the director of that is because I think it would be kind of cool to see that he's the person who directed the first ever MCU film, and then him coming back for this after or not having directed a film since 2010, and for the MCU would be really cool, because that would be like 15 years or so later, or in the last time he directed one. But I do understand the Star Wars thing and being a reason why not have it.
Well, I hate to be like a naysayer of him, or before he's even had the chance to try, but the guy to me could be out of touch from it because of that reason. So he did Iron Man 1. That was before everything. That was before
I can understand that.
spinning plates. And then he did Iron Man 2, which, depending on who you are, is not the greatest Marvel movie.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. But the one thing I will say for him is he's definitely a massive Marvel fan, and of the comics. So he's going to try and do these characters as justice as us as absolutely possible. Which not every director you could say that for.
True.
He also there was an interview between and Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau that came out a couple of days ago for the 15-year anniversary of Iron Man, and it was a 20-minute thing, and it's actually really interesting.
Nice.
He talked about how apparently part of why they decided on Robert Downey Jr. is that they were wanting him to be a Doctor Doom in the 2005 Fantastic Four film, but then and that fell through. But they liked him so much that they insisted on getting him back for signing.
Nice. Can you imagine if he ended up being Doctor Doom in a movie that was not great? Like, he would have saved it a little, but
I don't know if I would have liked it. I don't know if I would have liked the film more or with him, because I like the actor they chose for Doctor Doom in that. He did a great job. And Jon Favreau also talked about how he wasn't before making Iron Man. He was a lot more of a Hulk and a Spider-Man fan than he was of Iron Man, the comics. Like, most people didn't know a lot about Iron Man, the comics back then, which honestly it makes me think about, like, I feel like he would be a really good director for a Hulk film, and also for a Spider-Man film. I think that would be really interesting to see.
Favreau?
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think I would have liked his Hulk maybe a little bit better than Incredible Hulk, especially because when him coming out with Iron Man, he did clearly love the comics. You can tell, in the amount of love that is poured into that first Iron Man movie, especially. That'd be dope. I would have Favreau. It would be, it's like that thing, like, that was 2008. So that year, or maybe 5 years on either side of that, I would have been like, oh yeah, Favreau, give him anything, give him what you want. Like, but now we've seen so many more talented directors. So
I can see that.
If John Watts wants to do it, give it to John Watts.
Oh yeah, I can. I would definitely be happy with John Watts doing it. To be honest, though, like, the person I most think would be would be interesting if they did it. I don't know if he has time to do it, but I definitely think he's one of the only people who'd actually be able to handle directing something like that, because it's such a massive production. And for Secret Wars, it's Kevin Feige himself. I think that would be interesting.
Does he direct?
He has not. I don't think he's ever actually directed something before. But he knows how to make it so that a massive amount of characters all make sense in a universe together.
That's true.
So I think he would be able to do. I think he would be able to do it. I do know that he is. I don't know if it's still happening, but he was supposed to direct a Star Wars film. They had actually like, it was announced like a couple of years ago that he was going to direct a Star Wars film. I think that was announced like maybe 2 years ago at Star Wars Celebration. I don't know if that's still happening, since to be honest, I don't know if like anything that are just announced at Star Wars Celebration can just expected to be made, because they've announced so many things over the years that don't end up happening.
Yeah, very true. Star Wars is kind of a mixed bag over there. They got some real great home runs coming out, especially in TV form. And then you hear about a ton of different stuff, ton of different things coming in the works and greenlit. But I don't know which one to root for first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what director I think would be amazing to do Secret Wars?
What would that be?
Chloe Zhao.
I could see that, but I
as
could
much
see
as
that
people loved the Immortals, she did
an
incredible job with that.
I loved Eternals.
The Eternals. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
I loved Eternals.
I just realized I called it the Immortals.
I don't. I think for the same reason that I don't particularly want Sam Raimi for it. I don't know if I would want Chloe Zhao because she does have a very specific style. And I don't want something with a specific style for it.
That's fair. I feel like Sam Raimi's is just more detectable at this point because of his like track record.
Mm-hmm.
But she's
I don't
got
movies,
for
like the Sam Raimi thing. I don't need a Secret Wars to feel like Evil Dead.
Exactly.
That would be weird.
You know what? I don't even want new Evil Dead movies to feel like old Evil Dead movies. The Evil Dead Rise just came out this last month. He was an executive producer on it, but he did not direct that movie, and it was fucking great. It felt like what Evil Dead should become, not what it used to be.
I have not seen Evil Dead Rise yet. Part of me wants to, but also part of me is like a little bit scared to watch it because I'm like, I don't know that it's going to feel like what I want out of Evil Dead, because what I want out of Evil Dead is that exact mix of horror and comedy that's been in the previous stuff. I don't know from everything I've heard, it doesn't seem like there's much comedy in the Evil Dead Rise.
It's a very, very subtle comedy, and it's only funny if you find ridiculous gore funny. And some people hate that, but this is one of effectively, I like that these like Evil Dead 2014 and Evil Dead Rise both can irk me, which I always wished the original Evil Dead movies were able to do, and I like that they are horror primarily and a little bit of comedy on top of.
I can see that. To me though, and this will probably this could cause some hate because I don't know, it's not one of the favorite from most Evil Dead fans, but to me, my favorite thing out of the Evil Dead franchise is the Ash vs. Evil Dead show. I love that show. It's so much fun.
I'm a big Bruce Campbell fan, and when that show came out, I met 2 other cast members too, which was awesome. It's one of like the second Comic Cons I went to. But he's an old hero of mine. So I love him more than I love Raimi, to be honest, because he was in so many other things when those movies were coming out.
Him
punching himself in the face at the end of Alone is not the worst thing in the world.
Bruce Campbell actually one time so there was one time I think I've told you maybe possibly about this before, but my mom and I were had a booth at the Atlanta Comic-Con. Bruce Campbell actually stood right in front of our booth.
Nice.
Briefly. Yeah.
Did he acknowledge you guys, or was he walking or
was he didn't, if I remember right, he didn't acknowledge us. He acknowledged the people next to us. The people next to us were some writers, and he wanted to know what their book was about. And they were like, they started trying to like maybe give him I think it was like a free copy or something. And he was like, I don't read much actually.
Oh, well, I mean, that's awesome that he was at least engaging with their work.
Oh yeah, he honestly seems like such a great guy. He turned his entire panel into basically a stand-up comedy act.
Yeah. He's so happy to talk with fans. He's a generous.
It honestly saddens me that there's never been any like streaming service or something that tries to get him to do a comedy special. Like I feel like that would be so much fun just watching a comedy special from him.
It would be. I think he'd be really good at it. And I know that he's like hosted certain like I don't know if it's like unsolved mysteries or some kind of thing recently. And I saw him pop up and I'm like, you know what? He's perfect for this kind of gig, but he could do so many bigger things. I think there was a documentary about the progress and lifespan of the Evil Dead projects and franchises and stuff. And I think it was during, I want to say it's the 25th anniversary of the original or something, but he definitely came out with it before Evil Dead Rise. I'm kind of curious what that's called.
So actually getting into Renfield finally. I had a lot of fun with this film. I think every actor in it, like they did a great job, and it really felt like everyone in it was having a lot of fun with it. I definitely think that Nicolas Cage as Dracula is a standout one, but I also do think that Nicholas Hoult does a fantastic performance as the lead as Renfield.
He has got incredible like comedy chops. Like when I saw him do when the fact that he played Beast, I was like, oh, that's he can do that. That he's smart enough to play that well. But that wasn't the roles that swooned me. I was like, Warm Bodies is so funny. And The Menu, which came out just last year, so he's so funny in that, and unintentionally sometimes, but it's so played for like creepy laughs. That movie, it's good times.
One of the scenes in this I find really hilarious is just when Renfield brings him these thugs that are always at the beginning of the film, and Dracula asks Renfield, "What is this?" As Renfield's like, "It's dog," and Dracula's just like, "Dog is trash. He's trash."
He's like, they both. I agree that Nicolas Cage is a great reason to see this movie, but I was what the only reason I heard about this movie, the first way I've heard about this movie was on Ben Schwartz's Instagram. And he just said, "Oh, we just wrapped Renfield, or we were shooting Renfield today." And I was like, "Renfield, what's that?" I started looking into it. I thought it was like a smaller indie film, the way it sounded, because Ben Schwartz he picks projects very well, and they don't always have to be the biggest thing ever. They don't have to be Sonic. Sometimes he just does some really small, cool stuff. And when hearing that he was in it, I was sold already. I was like, I'm gonna watch anything Ben Schwartz is in. So when I heard he was in this, I knew I was gonna see it. Then I find out a year later that Nicolas Cage is in it, and I'm like, what? That's perfect. And it just grew from there. The excitement, it definitely turned my head.
Oh yeah, so I loved Ben Schwartz in the film. It was a lot of fun seeing him play a bad guy, which I don't think he often does.
He played it very. Every time I saw him on screen, I was like, okay, he's gonna become a familiar later. Like that's why they got him, because he's gonna be that nuts.
Ben Schwartz and Nicolas Cage have both talked in interviews about how Nicolas Cage was massively impressed with as Ben Schwartz's is acting, because Nicolas Cage is very used to sticking to the script for things, while Ben Schwartz is it does a massive amount of improv, so he's so Nicolas Cage said he was like so in love with how Ben Schwartz acted in this, and how far he went with some of his improv. Not all of it made it in, but he was like so surprised by everything when that Ben Schwartz was just able to pull out of his own mind.
Yeah. At the beginning, when I saw he was just playing I thought he was just kind of like a lackey or something, like going to be a small part, and I'm like, no, there's no way he's going to have so much more entangled with this whole plot. And I was very happy that he got to keep on trucking and keep on being Ben Schwartz. Or what's his character's name?
I don't remember what his character's name is.
He constantly says it, and I'm mad I can't remember now. I'm gonna look it up. Cut this out.
So the one thing I enjoyed a lot was whenever there was the scenes in the is with the group of people able have had like some kind of abuse that's happened to them. And
Yeah,
I thought that was a lot of fun, and an interesting place to take this because you don't really see often in movies always them making a massive plot point to being being characters actually getting help through therapy and stuff
sure.
like that. And it worked really well in this.
Yeah, it worked well to integrate it in. It worked well as like the marketing way to get the trailer rolling is like, oh, this is the perfect analogy and like path to a self-help kind of
Mhm.
arc for Renfield to see
No,
that his relationship with the Count is actually just an abusive
mhm.
relationship that are
Oh
very
yeah.
hard to get out of.
One thing I was thinking about, I find very interesting is, you know, Dracula. He's not evil because as he drinks people's blood. He's evil because he's a narcissist, and he's made this guy, forced this guy to be his servant. And I think that's an interesting thing because like we think of vampires as evil because they do try to kill us and drink
Mhm.
our blood. But the thing is, you wouldn't call say a bear evil if it tried to eat a human because it has to eat something, and sometimes a human is the only thing there to eat if it wants to live, and I don't think something like that can be considered evil.
True. True. No, it's the manipulation. It's the lack
Mhm.
of
Yeah, so
their victims have no autonomy. They're being tricked
mhm.
into doing things for them, including just
And
letting themselves become food.
for that reason, I think I really like they made a point that it is that he's a narcissist and
Mhm.
that he forced Arch Renfield into this, and that's what makes him evil,
Yeah.
and not just that he's a vampire.
Hmm. And like, who's to say that in this version of the lore of Dracula, he was even always a vampire, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he could always have been a prick, and then he
Yeah,
just happens to have
yeah.
powers on top of that.
Yeah. I had
Oh, by the way, the character that Ben Schwartz plays is Teddy Lobo, but
mm-hmm.
on IMDb it's actually full name Tedward, which is really funny.
Tedward. Oh God.
That was awesome.
You know that that has to be a reference to Twilight item Edward Collins.
Very good point. That makes a lot of sense. That's
Oh
awesome.
God.
Do you know who wrote this movie?
No, I'm not sure.
So Ryan Ridley and Robert Kirkham, or
Okay.
Kirkman, sorry. Kirkman being the creator of The Walking Dead
Mm-hmm.
and Invincible, and Ryan Ridley being
Nice.
coming from Robot Chicken and then Rick and Morty, and now branching off into his own
Nice.
things a little bit more. So, and there's also Ava Tramer, which I believe was probably a writer on Rick and Morty as well, but she went on to do a cartoon called Central Park, which came out
Mm-hmm.
like a year ago. Didn't last that long, like many adult cartoons do not end up lasting very long,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely
I'm
a great team effort in my opinion.
Speaking of adult cartoons, I'm very interested what's gonna happen with Rick and Morty because of Justin Roiland getting fired. Like
I wish I knew.
I'm I'm very interested in that because I'm like I don't know if they will if um whoever they cast as
Mhm.
I don't know if they'll be able to keep the show going because I is Justin Roiland's voice is so attached to that show that I don't know if people will be able to accept different voice actors.
I agree. I think it will probably die out. I think a lot of people
Uh,
who were worried about, maybe being on a show as long as it was actually getting
mm,
the seasons that were purchased. Um, Maybe they'll be happy that it's over. I would kind of like to see a lot of the people that work on that branch out and do something else anyway, like
mhm.
Dan Harmon. I'd love to see what he comes up with next. I didn't
I
want
mean,
him to retire and
I
just make Rick and Morty the rest of his
I
life.
I would be. I wonder whether or not having to deal with this of needing to find a new voice actor is going to cause Dan Harmon to not have time to work on the Community movie, since that has been announced now now on Peacock.
He's probably grateful that the timing worked out this way. Like, if anything, to take the silver lining for this whole Justin Roiland thing, for him to have his business partner for making Rick and Morty go a little off the deep end and get caught for it. Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, now I can go back to my baby Community and make something great. I do think it's funny, the idea that Justin Roiland played so many voices, integral voices in that show, that he probably thought it was perfect job security.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh nope, I can get fired too.
I feel like the most comparable thing that could for to this is like how people would react if Dan Costanza stopped playing Homer Simpson.
Oh yeah, what? Hang on.
I think Dan Costanza, I think it's the name of the actor or who plays it.
It's Dan
like
Casta something.
Oh, something like that. But like but like if I think it's like kind of like if he had stopped playing Homer, I kind of feel like that would be the end of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Or like if Seth MacFarlane stopped being all the voices that he is on Family Guy.
Very true. Yeah, no, that they were everybody in who voices The Simpsons to this day is so lucky to have gotten like the perfect voice acting gig that they never needed to run away from. It'd be so weird,
except for those who play characters who are not white that are white people in real life that have now ended up leaving those roles.
Yeah,
because there was a particularly like in the last 2 years there was someone from The Simpsons who is like from the beginning played characters that he stopped playing those characters because they are not white characters, and he realized that's not okay.
Yeah.
Which, if I remember right, because of that, now the character of Apu on the Simpsons is no longer even really a character. It's just now a background thing that never has a voice.
They didn't give him like a send off. They never explained.
Well, he appeared. He had like one last episode in the season premiere like a few years ago, apparently. But then after that, he's still been there, but he just never speaks. He's just a background character.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is bizarre to think about. I stopped watching it so long ago that it's so strange to think that that Apu is just sneaking around in the background.
With in Renfield, what did you think of the layer or that they had Dracula in throughout the film? I thought that was a pretty good choice of how he can be in this abandoned hospital.
Yeah,
so no one will find him.
I thought this just set design in general in this movie was incredible, but no, I remember seeing the throne with all the blood bags hanging from it. I was like, this is awesome. And I was also so glad that you get to spend a little bit more time there later, but like, I'm so glad that he got healed as quickly as he did, because I would have been so mad if the half the movie Nicolas Cage is in that makeup that's so much harder to understand what he's saying. He's already got the teeth in the whole movie, like he's committed to teeth across the front the whole damn movie, but to speak with that plus the layered makeup was tricky, I'm sure.
Definitely. How the film ends, they have that they end up like chopping up and all these different things as Dracula that are things from like folklore of how you can possibly kill a vampire. Yeah. Do you think that those will have worked, or do you think there's a possibility that this could have a sequel?
part of me would be more open to a sequel from something like this than I think something, because this movie is just, it's start to finish fun.
Yeah.
And I like movies that are fun to get a chance to have more fun, because everybody all working on it, you can tell they're having a good time. I would love for them to I mean, they certainly can. It's Dracula. They can do all sorts of rule bending. He always has been bent.
Main reason I'm bringing it up is that I actually have two ideas for or sequels that I think would both be interesting. One would be I think better than the other, but the other would still be interesting. First, so that's the interesting one is but it's still like could make sense is so that they said that they think that this will take him a very long time to regenerate, so that which could it easily mean like having a sequel where it's Nicolas Cage as Dracula and he's in the future, which I would be which I think would be interesting because you have like, well, with this, yes, he's not a man out of present day, but he has been living this whole time. Versus he would just as regenerate in the future, and he doesn't know anything about how anything works. At that point, like there's like he's like I could imagine like him being. I'm supposed to be the only person who can fly. You guys shouldn't be having flying cars. But the other one, and this is what I would really want is because it's one that allows all the cast members to come back, would be that they reveal that that none of these different ways to defeat Dracula from folklore work, and that they have to then the filmmakers have to create their own lore for this lore for how to actually defeat Dracula. And what I would I would have that like throughout the film, Renfield like at the start he's having dreams that aims at Dracula's back, and that's worrying, even though he's not back. But then there would come a point during the film where Dracula actually is back, but he can't. But Renfield at first can't really tell whether he is real or not because he's just hearing Dracula's voice in his head. So finally, Dracula actually shows up in front of them. And what I would have actually is the way that they are able to defeat him is that he has to drink his own blood, since they have that massive container of his blood. And I was thinking like they can have like a make this B-side where they have to go to some location to find out that information that's actually how to defeat him, but then they have to figure out a way to actually trick him into drinking his own blood. So they would which I'm thinking they would have they would put a blood bag on Renfield's neck, and then use it was like some kind of Hollywood prosthetic makeup to cover it up so that he doesn't know, and then he can try and bait a Dracula into be like, oh, I'm sorry, I have failed you, as I have failed you and betrayed you. I deserve for you to drink my blood. So that or sign like give me the grace of not having to experience what you will do to this world or something like that. Just to trick him into drinking his own blood. What would you think of something like that?
I love it. I mean, I think that going a little different with it is a good idea. Not only them, the creators of the movie, getting the chance to come up with their own lore of what can kill them and stuff like that, but also making up an entire new, way that way for to get Renfield more involved. And it could be, and what's Aquafina's character, Rebecca? I assume the two of them would both be in it again.
Well, yeah, it would be. They
It
would
could be
be.
like a bait and switch where she's like she ends up sacrificing herself with the blood bag or somehow, and he's like, "Oh no, I never wanted that to happen." This is it's a fantastic idea.
I think it'll be fun. And the thing is, I kind of think that actually would make sense as a way to defeat him. As like a lot of things. There have been a lot of things I've seen where there's like people who are undead, not specifically vampires, but people who are undead, whether it be in video games or just some kind of fantasy book, where they're like sign that's supposed to heal normal people actually hurts them, and if they are undead. So because Dracula's blood can heal normal people, it maybe has the opposite effect on him.
I like that a lot, because it should. I mean, he can't survive in his own blood. A vampire can't just, oh no, I haven't fed in a while. They just bite their own wrist or something. They don't do that. And for him to be like the big bad, the original vampire, if that's what they want to go with, then it would make sense that his blood would be different from everyone's as well.
Yeah.
In two ways. Healing and killing.
So I really enjoyed Dracula like teaming up with the mob. I think that was a fun idea. One place where I think there was actually a mistake in the film, when we see Dracula pop up at Renfield's apartment.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be nighttime. I'm obviously, or he wouldn't be able to get there. But behind him, in the window, looks like it's light outside.
Yeah, is he like in the shadow in that room at the time? I can't remember.
No, it's light. It's completely lit up room. Yeah, I love that scene too. But I do find it funny how behind him the window is where he's sitting at the table. Behind him the window is just bright.
They fucked up.
Yeah,
maybe he has to be in direct rays. I don't know.
Maybe. We literally saw right before, or that it is nighttime when he goes there.
So it's just a weirdly lit building. Maybe they've got like a big hallway that has like fluorescent bulbs or something outside the windows. That would suck. I would not want to.
I really find hilarious how they made it that even just having the words or it's welcome makes it on a welcome mat allowed him to go in.
It's a really smart movie. I think it's got a lot of like play with in a new way. I mean, people have been playing and making farcical vampire movies forever too, but like this gave me a lot of like Zombieland kind of vibes, and where they tackled everything that people have joked about into themselves about zombies, and like really relatable and stuff people never thought about. They did that in this. I was expecting when I after I saw the movie, I was expecting to go and find out that it was created by the same people, but it was not. I was like, damn, this gave me serious Zombieland vibes. Just the amount of gore for laughs, like the creativity with the gore.
I love the creativity with the gore. That was so much fun, especially when he's especially things like when he's jumping down from his apartment floor, and or he just goes through a guy and then and like when he's fighting Ben Schwartz, and we see that the skeleton and then blood coming out from both sides.
That
was great.
I gotta show Katie this one. I think she'd have a good time. Because I think
does she like blood and gore?
Interesting to her. I mean, we watch horror movies all the time, but not really horror comedies. She's not a zombie fan, so she'll probably never watch Zombieland with me. But Renfield, I think she would, because she's read Bram Stoker's Dracula. She's read a ton of vampire.
Years. Big fan. Mainly, this excited me. Both because I first wanted to watch both because it's Nicolas Cage, and because it's out of all of those like kind of fantasy spooky creatures like vampires, zombies, werewolves, etc. Vampires have always been the one that's that I've always loved. So and it really excited me seeing that, and the fact that it's gonna be comedy and it's gonna be Nicolas Cage. Just like, this is kind of a perfect thing for me.
Yeah. For me, my favorite was always like of the like classic monsters and Universal monsters, if we want to go franchise. The Wolfman. I loved Werewolf by Night so much because of the homage to the original Wolfman and how he looked in just like the torn shirt, not a huge like drawn out snout. Although I do like a lot of werewolf movies that have that version of a werewolf. But even as a huge werewolf nut, I can still admit the vampires are cooler. Like, if you're gonna watch a movie that's centric with the character, no werewolf character has been as engaging and as villainous and cool as a vampire has.
I both like I just find vampires fun to watch, but I also like, I love that like red and black gothic aesthetic. It's such a cool aesthetic to me. And
it's so devilish.
I wish more. Yeah, I wish more stuff would have that nowadays. Like and less of stuff of sign like Twilight, where it's where it is vampires, but there's none of the gothic classic feel to it.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks. Really just sucks. Like, that's
yeah, agreed.
And I think but we haven't talked a lot about Awkwafina's character. I think that Awkwafina did a great job in this as well. I don't I haven't seen a lot of Awkwafina's stuff, but I've mainly seen her in this and in Shang-Chi, and I'm starting to really like her as an actress. It's because of them, because I think she's really funny.
She is so charismatic as well as so bizarre that I love every scene I've seen her in, and I agree. I've only seen Shang-Chi, this and her own show, and I'm trying to remember what the hell it's called, but it was she had like, I think it's one season on
Nora from
Comedy
Queens,
Central.
maybe?
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Another thing that's a running joke throughout the film that I love, I love whenever this happens. There's just one character in the film that everybody just always shits on. There's this particular cop that everybody's like, fuck you, that particular cop, just constantly throughout the film. I love when films do that. I just find it hilarious.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, every good like running gag joke. It always involves a character that needs to be the fall guy.
Oh man! So trying to look on Google, see what see some of the trivia from IMDb to see what if there's some interesting stuff. So apparently Nicolas Cage said that his three dream roles are that he's wanted to play: Captain Nemo, Superman, and Dracula.
so fucking weird. Captain Nemo seems so out of place in that. I don't know why, but yeah, I guess Captain Nemo means a lot more to other people.
and he's now gotten to play both Dracula and Superman, and since he played Superman in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies,
right.
And he might be having a cameo in a certain DC film coming out this year.
Spoilers. My goodness. I can't stop him. Guys.
It's really annoying when the director tells people before the film comes out that it's happening.
You're on my list, Andrew. Andy.
It's so weird.
Machete.
It's honestly so weird to me that he's doing that. Like,
he fucked up.
Everybody.
He's like, please go see my movie, guys. Please. Can you please go see it?
There's only one other time that a director's done something like that. And everybody hated it when that director did it too. And that was the director of Morbius revealing every little thing that happens in Morbius a week before it came out.
Oh, there should be a
Like,
clause in his
why?
contract that says he gets a slap in the fucking face if he does that. And it is weird that he would need to, but you can tell it comes from such a stinky desperation. Like,
And
everyone knows that people are boycotting this movie. Everyone knows that no one is happy with Ezra Miller and the way that they have treated everything that Ezra Miller has done. And yet every trailer I see about this movie, I'm waiting for the movie to look good, and it keeps looking worse.
Yeah,
I'm
it
like,
doesn't
this
look
isn't gonna
like
be good.
I see some people online be like, "Oh, this looks amazing from the trailers." I'm like, "No, it doesn't. These trailers look crap."
Plus, you
Like,
have to
it
deal
really
with two
does.
Ezra Millers. That's two of my main
Like,
characters are
one
Ezra
of the
Millers.
scenes, one of the scenes in the trailer has two Ezra Millers, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be in Wayne Manor, but it's so obviously green screen.
Oh, you
It
mean it
looks
feels
so
like
obvious. Like
the Justice League or whatever when they did reshoots, like horrible reshoots, and you can
let
tell
me
that
see if
they
I
cut
can
his
find
hair.
that clip. But while I'm finding that, another cool thing, things, and during an interview, Nicolas Cage said that the person he used as inspiration for how he played Dracula was his father. How his father acted.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Damn. I like that. I mean, I was just so happy to see him not remind me of every other I know he can act. And as bizarre as that sounds to say, I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there who don't watch Nicolas Cage movies and don't believe that he can act. But my God, check them out. Don't knock it till you try it. His acting range is pretty crazy. And I knew when I heard he was Dracula, I'm like, okay, that's going to be something to see, because I know that the last 10 movies I've seen with him, he did not portray the same guy twice. He doesn't do that anymore. And if he was doing it once upon a time, it's still fun to watch crazy Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. So, I pulled up the thing from the Flash trailer I'm talking about.
Yeah, that looks like shit. That looks like
That's
shit.
really, yeah. Like, you can so obviously tell it doesn't look like they're actually in a building. It looks like they're like literally they copied Ezra Miller twice on a green screen. So not only does it look bad, the two Ezra Millers, but the background also looks bad. Like, why?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was a mistake. They sometimes
And
you
also
think they can throw money at a
also
problem. It also needs talent.
I think that Warner Brothers expects that people are going to get excited because because very obviously they paid a massive amount of celebrities to say that the film is amazing, but that doesn't excite me. It just makes me more like, is this actually gonna be that great? No,
a celebrity's opinion is usually not where I go.
Why? It's so weird to me to see seeing people like Tom Cruise is caring about out a DC film. It's like, I do not believe he actually called up Andy Muschietti and was like, "Can I watch your film early?"
Well, it's like people saying, like, I feel like I've seen that opinion or that sentence from Tom Cruise before, where he's like, "This movie's important. It's what we need right now." Like, I've seen that as like a meme thing that Tom Cruise has been known to say about multiple movies, and it's like, that sounds like either you don't pay him to say that, and that's just a blanket statement he says to everybody, or you did pay him to say that, and he couldn't come up with something he didn't say last time. Like, it's either way not great. But the trailer lost my interest the second I saw Michael Keaton say, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." Like, that's the line he's known for. I'm sorry, that is a one time you get a laugh for that line once and once alone. That is not a catchphrase for Batman. That's a annoying as hell choice for them.
Another celebrity who very obviously they got to ought to praise the film is Stephen King, which is like, why would Stephen King care about this film?
He's Andy Muschietti's best friend.
Yeah, he
so
he
now.
tweeted I got an advanced screening of The Flash today. As a rule, I don't care about air for superhero movies, but this one's special. It's heartfelt, funny, and eye-popping. I loved it. It's like,
They bought a tweet. He
don't
tweeted that?
believe you. Yes.
They bought that tweet. They wrote it
Yeah,
for him. They
I'm
said,
pretty
copy and
sure.
paste this. We'll give you
I'm
20
pretty sure
bucks.
all of these celebrities are paid for to tell everybody that it's good as a way to maybe like get people who want to watch it, since there's so many people who aren't big on it because of Ezra Miller. The thing is, to be honest, I don't know whether or not the Ezra Miller stuff is actually going to affect how well it does at the box office, because as I talked about a couple weeks ago, everything online is not what it is to most people outside of online. Most people outside of online probably have no idea about any of the stuff with Ezra Miller.
Sure. Yeah. Katie's parents had no idea when they asked me. I think Katie's mom tried to set up like a play date with me and her dad because he wants to go see it, but her mom doesn't have any interest in going see it, even though they went to go see the 1989 Batman together for the first time, and like one of their dates they went on. So he really wants to go see it, and then she's like, "Oh, maybe you could go see it, Keith." And I'm like, "Well, I heard all this stuff Ezra Miller did, and there's this boycott going on," and she doesn't have a clue what I'm talking about. She's like, "Well, what did he do?" And I was like, "I can't explain it that quickly. I'm sorry, mother-in-law." It was just like, I mean, I'll send you the article, but it's not gonna be a fun read. She's like, "Just go see it. Just go see it with him. You'll like it." I might. I don't know.
It just can sometimes be hard to separate a hated actor from the role.
Yeah, and but the thing that pissed me off more is looking at the trailers since that idea of, oh, maybe I'll go see it. Seeing two Ezra Millers and the freaking "want to get nuts" line, I was like, this trailer looks like dog shit. I was so mad. I was like, I don't want to watch this. But yeah, what we do for family. I think I might.
So, some other trivia. Nicolas Cage's uncle, Francis Ford Coppola, directed Dracula from 1992. The studio wanted Nicolas Cage to star in that instead of Keanu Reeves to play a Jonathan Harker. But Coppola, his own uncle, did not want to work with him after their bad experience on Peggy Sue, who got married.
Young, I can only imagine. We know Nicolas Cage as a guy over the age of 35, maybe 40, and only that, to be honest.
Maybe.
But the guy in his 20s, holy shit, what that guy must have been like to end up as crazy as he is now. I can only imagine. He would be difficult to work with. I believe that. 100%. He had a lot of character. Let's put it that way. Some of it might have been snortable.
So, what I find really interesting how he Nicolas Cage aged to like, even though they're supposed to be different characters. There's Nicolas Cage does the same like accent for Dracula as he does as for his sort of fake vampire in Vampire's Kiss, which it's like, I feel like you'd want to like do something to try and really like differentiate those voices so that they're so people don't just think that they're the same, which I think is definitely a possibility. Like, before the film came out, I definitely had like a bit of thought myself of, would this film be like a sort of sequel to that?
I think it's funny the amount of like, if you go like, if this movie had a family tree and you were to journey up those branches and find out, oh, Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult worked together on The Weatherman, playing father and son. Oh, Nicolas Cage also played a guy becoming a vampire in a similar comedy, like, of insane ideas. It's funny to go back and see the way we got to here, where it's not only a hilarious idea to cast Nick Cage as Dracula, but it's also what everybody at this point wants. It's like, let's do it. I love that they paid homage to both Bela Lugosi in the old film footage that they showed, and paid homage to Christopher Lee playing Dracula, because they gave him the bloodthirst contact lenses when he would get a little crazy. They gave him like red eyes, which they didn't do with Bela, obviously, because Bela was so compelling to begin with. But yeah,
which I think Nicolas Cage said that Christopher Lee he actually was his inspiration for starting to do horror films. So that's really cool. And I love those first scenes in the film of them doing the flashback act to it. It's so cool. Apparently that actually was footage from the original Dracula. Yep. And they just inserted Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage into it.
They had to match it perfectly. I was looking at an interview about that earlier today, and the idea that we're gonna put you in the old movie. They did the same thing with in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Leo DiCaprio in The Great Escape. They put him in exactly the position that Steve McQueen was in, just to show that he did test footage and didn't get the part. And it's a really smart way to do it. But my God, the amount of work put into that.
In that Nicolas Cage interview that I find so some stuff that he said I find very interesting. He does not think that he's very similar to Dracula in real life. In terms of like what he believes in.
Yeah.
But because someone actually like I was interviewing him tried to ask him if he feels like he's anything similar to this character, but there was another interview where he actually did talk about how he views the world, and it does actually kind of sound like like some of his views are similar to Dracula's, which is
in what way, John? Whatever do you mean?
Well, Dracula in the film does not like the morality of humans of how we believe life needs to be based on morality, and Nicolas Cage has said that he doesn't like how there's he doesn't like with the current in Hollywood of how he can't just say anything he wants. Yeah. And he says that's why he likes doing films that are period pieces, whether they're in the past or the future, so he can say anything.
Yeah, he's got a good point.
But so I find that very interesting. How even like he's not someone who wants to eat people or suck their blood. But he does have a bit of Dracula in him.
It's funny to think the idea that he was admiring Ben Schwartz's ability to improv on set all day, and yet he himself wishes he could do it, but he's afraid of getting canceled. He's like, my improv just might not be as funny. I might say some things I've been told by my PR agent not to. So. Yeah, no, let the young guy do it. He's got a good idea.
So the director of the film, Chris McKay, actually says that he believes this film should be like a quasi sequel to Dracula from the 1931, which is really cool, honestly.
Agreed. I like the idea of a quasi sequel. Anything, honestly. After seeing so much Marvel stuff over and over, like it's all got to be connected, it's all got to be tethered, it's always going to be compared to past Marvel stuff. Isn't it fun to watch stuff that's just on its own a fun idea? Like you don't have to compare it to the previous Renfield movie. You don't have to compare it to anything, really. You just have to go, is this for me or not? And then you get to enjoy something really original. Even though it is derived from,
when I first went to see this, it's like just like with all films that I go see, I immediately after the film ends, I'm going on my phone looking up, is there a post-credit scene or sign that I do for me to see?
Yeah.
And I was actually kind of annoyed because as when I looked it up online, it said there's not exactly a post-credit scene, but there's a full-on musical sequence during the credits for you to listen to. I'm like, and then my mom and I were saying, because we were like, that actually sounds like pretty cool, a musical sequence begins with this cast.
Yeah.
But then we see a bit of it, but it's not. We don't actually hear any of them singing.
Oh, well,
which
weird.
is really annoying. I'm like, I would love to actually see that scene without the credits and something else playing over it, so we can actually hear them singing.
Yeah, that's why they gotta release Blu-rays again. Like DVDs got me so hooked on special features and behind the scenes content, and then Blu-rays knocked it up, took it up a notch. And it's like, you gotta get me a Blu-ray of some of these one-offs.
You know,
like Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I would get the Blu-ray just to see what the fuck they did behind the scenes.
Speaking of like special features and stuff, so this is not at all about Renfield. Actually, has
Very
to do
little
with,
has been about Renfield. Okay.
It has to do with with something that I recorded on Monday for another podcast. As I went on a podcast as called the Reshoot Movie Podcast, where I asked where we're supposed to quote unquote fix films, and we did Howard the Duck for that. They really liked my pitch for for a better the Duck film. I'm not gonna say what that was because I don't want to spoil it, and it's not gonna be coming out probably for a few weeks. But while I was doing prep for that, something I was thinking about was, I'd be very interested to see if there's like any kind of deleted scenes for Howard the Duck, which because I'm pretty sure most films have deleted scenes on special features or things. But I couldn't find anywhere online anything about special features for that film, which I seem to remember there being at least at some point you could like view the special features as if you had a film on Amazon Prime. But it's but nothing comes up for special features for that. So it's because I think it would be interesting to see like what kind of scenes they might have cut from the film. But I can't find anything.
What year did the movie come out?
In '86.
Okay. And special features did not really become a thing for big movies.
There has been DVD and Blu-ray releases for the film though.
True, but it's such a small loved movie that they didn't have any footage, so they probably lost any footage they had. Possibly. And they're like, oh, nobody gives a shit about Howard the Duck until 2020 years later when everybody's talking about it. Like, but damn, this guy really wants.
I do wish I honestly wish like more films would like release at least deleted scenes for not just physical versions of the film, but also release them online. It's very it's the Disney Plus Marvel shows. A lot of them have deleted scenes, but at least I know the American version of Disney Plus, you can't access them.
Oh.
But some of the other countries they have an extras tab that has the deleted scenes for them.
Check that out. I don't
know
that
there's I know that there's I'm pretty sure I've seen particularly some deleted scenes for or Falcon the Winter Soldier and for Hawkeye. Which I saw those through some screen grabs that people took from their countries' versions of Disney Plus, because it's not actually on the American Disney Plus, which is that's weird to me. It's weird to me why they would choose in some countries put those extras on there, and here not. Because I always love watching whatever deleted scenes are from a film have, and then also like blooper reels and stuff like that.
See, that's what I'm more into, is especially comedies having blooper reels. I don't look for blooper reels on dramas anymore because I feel like they wouldn't even think to add that in a lot of cases. But like deleted scenes intrigue me sometimes, but blooper reels always do. I always want to watch that part. So it pisses me off when you can't find a good blooper reel. Like even YouTube used to be the place to go. Like I remember watching The Office blooper reels all the time. But like me and my wife have been crazy about Modern Family lately, and it's a little harder to find like a longer blooper reel. They're all like 2 minutes, and that's it. It's like, okay, it's a whole season of episodes, and you can't do more than 2 minutes of bloopers. Come on, guys. But yeah, it's weird. But the behind the scenes footage of Howard the Duck, I can understand why that's hard to find. I get that.
I mean, yeah,
they
because
will
of the odds of when that came out, I do understand that, but but like I was wondering, like I was looking to see if it was like just a Howard the Duck thing, but like I pulled up on Amazon Prime as well some other films that I know have deleted scenes on them, but it doesn't come up anymore of there being any extras to watch with them. I'm wondering if like Amazon Prime just like changed how they do their system, so now they don't allow people to watch the extras, which is weird to me. Why would you take away that thing? Because a lot of people like me like watching the deleted scenes, like watching the blooper reels and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do want to check out What My Disney Plus, because I didn't realize when I noticed the like rating thing that you can do in Canada but you can't do in the States. I was like, wait a minute, you can do what? And they're like, yeah, you can set your rating settings to R so that you get all the more adult shows too. And it was just like, wait, all the like Hulu stuff. It was amazing. I was like, what the fuck? Why didn't the States have this? And it's like we just don't have Hulu. That's all it is. But yeah, but no, the 2025 Howard the Duck movie will probably have some behind the scenes.
2025 Howard the Duck film. What?
For the listeners, I just want you to know that this is the first time I have successfully pranked John. There is no 2025 Howard the Duck, but I took acting classes for a reason.
I'll get back to you with back at you with the with my rankings for Marvel films when we do that episode.
I believe it. I'm gonna lose my. As much as I like to play it cool, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Which I'm planning on like it'll be mainly MCU stuff, but I do want to put some a couple like things from that are not MCU in it as well, like particularly I will do Howard the Duck. Like I will put
if you rank Venom higher than anything MCU, I'm going to shit.
I'm probably not gonna put the Venom movies in there, but I will put like Hulk 2003 3 in there, and I'm also going to even though some annoying people refuse to count it as MCU, even though it is MCU, I will be putting Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in there as well.
That's fair. No, I think that's fair. I hate that they think that they can just act like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was not made to interact with the MCU. Yeah. It's like, what are you talking about? Every episode was about something else.
That really annoys me. Like, it's like, like if you literally go back to the beginning and watch like interviews with Kevin Feige, he literally says this is the first show in the MCU. It's like, and
it should be like soft related, the same way that like the Daredevil series.
Like people are so much more are willing to let the like all of the Netflix stuff be off say it is, but they're not with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the weird thing to me is like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I expect to be honest, even though there's I think if people were willing to give it a chance, a lot more people would love that, because as I would say, out of all of the MCU films, the tone of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is most similar to that of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is many people's considered best MCU film.
For sure.
So I think if people were willing to give it a chance, they would like after like maybe like season 1 they would fall in love with it after they've gone past the season that a lot of people hate. I actually
what
love
is
season 1
that a lot of people. That's the season 1 normally.
because they hate it mainly because that's what that started it and brought Coulson back. But
Yeah, I
I
get the
actually
complaint.
love season one a lot.
Hmm.
For the main reason that season one does a lot of world building for the MCU, and shows us different corners of the MCU that never we would have had a chance seeing in movies. And we get to see like a lot of really cool different items that Shield has to pick up, and that are things from the comics. I find that to be a lot of fun. On just like each week they have to go on a different case. I understand a lot of people, they don't like the case of the week sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
to me, I like it because it gives a chance to have like deep cut things from the comics brought out. I think that's a
yeah,
really cool things that you're not gonna have time to spend a massive amount of time on, but you're finally being able to introduce these things because you have the time to get have some missions of the week. So after season one, though, they stopped doing those missions of the week things and just had like
serial
basically
drama.
one storyline going through
Yeah,
the whole season. And I
yeah,
liked all the seasons after season one, but I particularly just love the of that. Just like how it's like, I remember after WandaVision, people were saying like, "Oh, we should have um show where like Agent Wu is going around and get to different corners of the universe, having to do different things." It's like you're basically describing what Agents of Shield is, and you guys complain about that.
yeah. I think they maybe, if anything, they didn't give it the same. Like, obviously, you see a lot of like production value higher with
Hmm.
the Disney Plus series, and it's like they're giving it the same attention, the same care that they would the movies. Whereas Agents of Shield came way before that. I would even say Agent
Hmm.
Carter as a show was fantastic too. But I was watching Agents of Shield, giving it a true chance because of how good the first Avengers movie was.
Oh yeah.
And I was enjoying the hell out of it. It had a family
Oh
vibe. It felt
yeah,
very
and
family
I
friendly,
yeah.
and then the fact
There's
that
a
it was kind of disguised as a mission of the week kind of thing, and then hit you with that episode with
Mhm.
Ward traitoring on
Yeah,
everyone. I was like,
it's
dude, that came out of nowhere. I love that.
Mhm.
That was a
Oh
really
yeah, that was such a fantastic twist. It was probably one of my favorite twists I've seen in any TV show.
Mhm.
Probably,
Yeah.
to be honest, and I think there's only one season of the show where I'm like a little bit iffy on it because I'm like, yeah, I don't. This is it felt kind of convoluted, which was season five when they go to space, Ace in the future.
Okay, see that I have not seen. I was iffy on
Um,
it with the Inhumans and the amount of stuff that I
okay.
knew wasn't X-Men. And all I
Mhm.
wanted was a show like what they were doing, but about X-Men. And there's been shows like that, like Legion, and I think one was
At
called
least it wasn't
X
okay.
Factor, the
At
show.
least
There's a lot of versions.
anything they did in Agents of
Gifted.
Shield with Inhumans was
Yeah.
better than what was done in the actual Inhumans TV show.
That's true. And I have watched an episode and a half of that and decided very quickly that I was like, I'm glad I know where Black
Yeah.
Bolt's origins lie before his mouth was gone and his brain blew out.
It
But
honestly is so weird to me. Like, why is Black Bolt one of the first characters from the TV side that they brought back when that was in many people's idea the worst Marvel show?
yeah, that's very true.
It's
And
like,
Netflix got to do their own thing by making it so R-rated kind of feel. Like it felt like hard R at times, how dark
mhm.
Punisher, Daredevil would get. Jessica Jones, amazing. And Luke Cage, the Luke Cage series, people complain all they want about that. That shit had
Mhm.
steez, both
Oh,
style and ease. That show is
what
dope.
and um another season of Agents of Shield that I really love and most likely you obviously I have not seen it if you haven't seen season five, but it's the
Mhm.
final season of it because the final season is going through the past, and they're at the start of the season they get stuck like at a certain point in the past, and they have to make jumps throughout the past, as through decades to get back to present day. And we see a lot of like stuff that we see a lot of cool little things that things that lead to different things that happen in the MCU throughout the season, including like there is like a Hydra computer in like the 70s or something, and it has like names like Bruce Banner on it, as like this is gonna be someone who's a threat in the future. It's interesting to see. I'm very excited for doing that and that tier list, because I think there's I think people are going to find very interesting where I place some stuff. Of I don't like because there probably will be some things that some people absolutely love that I will put very low, or but then also some things that people might hate and I'll put high.
I myself will practice. Think of it, the whole thing as an exercise in composure and holding myself at ease. Meditation. I might do a lot of that beforehand. Yeah, you let me know when we can start building these lists.
Well, actually, I was so. Would you rather it be that I just do it and then you react to it, or would you want to actually make it a list as well? Since I know you have already like put like, at least on the Discord, you put like your rankings and stuff. Would you want to do your own list?
I can't remember what beyond MCU I put in that. What I would want to do is both. If we're gonna do, is both of us do one. And if we're gonna do a little bit outside the MCU, we should do any Marvel.
Okay. Well,
the whole list should be any Marvel movies.
I'm not gonna watch every single Marvel movie for it though.
Oh, are you sure? You have to watch at least you have to rank at least the ones you've seen.
Yeah, obviously the ones I've seen. But I'm not going to.
That works.
I'm not gonna go and watch Daredevil and Elektra for this.
You've never seen Ben Affleck as Daredevil?
No, I have not.
Goodness.
I remember
you're missing out, man.
I remember like maybe 5-6 years ago trying to start it, and like literally at 5 minutes I'm like, this is so boring. Why am I watching this? And just turned it off immediately. I do actually want to kind of at some point try and go back and watch it.
The irony of it is I think I might like that movie better than Love and Thunder.
Damn. Hey, part of what made me think I wanted to try and do this. Well, I have one week that I might that might be open in June, and I haven't actually decided on an episode for, but also a friend of mine on Twitter, or I think his name is Avon, he recently did a rewatch of every MCU thing over like a couple of weeks, and then he put out his definitive ranking, and he had some very interesting picks that I was surprised by, where he placed some things, and that's what kind of made me think I kind of want to try and do some kind of ranking myself. He so after his ranking, one of the two of the most surprising things was, one of them was Multiverse of Madness is in his top 10.
Okay, I'm gonna swallow that.
And then the first Iron Man movie is his last one on the list.
It's the bottom?
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't put Iron Man 1 below Thor 2 or 4 or I put Iron Man 1 higher than Age of Ultron. I love Age of Ultron.
So he also, because of them appearing in Spider-Man No Way Home, he also put the other Spider-Man movies on the list. And also, really surprisingly, he put Spider-Man 3 over or 1 and 2 of
Oh
the
my
Sam
God,
Raimi Spider-Man.
this guy, I don't want to meet him. I never want to talk about him. I think that, yeah, it's
like
rare when someone can be so wrong.
like wow. I was very surprised, but I listen. So, but seeing that was like made me like kind of want to do something like this myself. This would be a fun to do an episode on, and I think it would be really fun to get Keith's reaction. Would you rather like for doing something like that? Would you want to like have it be like we both create one beforehand, or we create one as the episode's going?
I think creating one beforehand is very important.
Okay.
It'll take a lot less time. I think we could even do one episode of me reacting to yours and one episode of you reacting to mine, and giving the argument and the debate, because it would be long if you put both in there.
Yeah, okay, that would actually make sense.
Way.
That would actually make a lot of sense. But if we did do two episodes, one of my list, one of your list, I would definitely want to do it on recording, and we create the list, because it's because I would be having it, I would like share the screen, and because one thing that I always find be really fun when on with watching anyone make a tier list is they will like since they will on the tier maker or hover the particular thing that they're doing on like a wrong thing, just to get a reaction to the action out of the other person. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Okay, so you're saying that even if you know where you're going to put stuff, you want to put the stuff on the tier list in front of me live.
Yeah, so that I can so that I can like mess with you and and be like, oh yes.
Okay.
Here's Captain America the Ways for the Winter Soldier, and here's F tier.
It's funny mentioning this. You mentioning this today made me even double down on the itch that I've been recently feeling about like going back to Iron Man 1 and like watching them from scratch. So if you want to come up with your tier list first, and we put that episode out first, and you give me some time, I might go through all of them again just to do what the other guy did.
Is there anything else we should talk about for Renfield, or do you think we've got about everything about that film talked about?
Overall thoughts, I fucking loved it. I really enjoy movies that aren't that big, that get a big swing and a fun look at an old idea. I love the ultra violence. I love that it's something you can watch sober, you can watch it stoned, you can watch it whatever state of mind you want, and you'll find some new thing to enjoy about it. And who doesn't love Nicolas Cage?
Oh yeah,
a lot of people.
Except for Emmy.
But yeah, she doesn't get it yet. We gotta find the right movie for her.
Well, she did. I'm pretty sure she liked the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which
there
is
you go.
funny because it's funny because it is like literally the most Nicolas Cage thing ever, as he's playing himself.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'm gonna end this off since I don't think there's anything else for us to say. Hey, I obviously like the film a lot too. I don't think it's a perfect film. Film like I mentioned before the recording that it doesn't have nearly as much rewatchability as I would hope for, but it's still good.
It'd be one I'd watch again in a year or something. Like I don't need to watch it next week or something too. I would need some time away from it, but
yeah, I will watch it since it came out because of wanting to do this review. I probably watched it like 5 times.
Oh my god, John! 5 times? Are we expected to watch something 5 times?
No, it's just because we kept pushing it off. So I watch it again because I want to have fresh thoughts on it.
Oh my goodness, John, you overindulged in Renfield. That's why you're like, oh man, rewatchability. Hey, I watched it 5 times and I don't want to watch it again. It's like, of course you don't.
Hey, I've probably watched in the past year and a half. I've probably watched Howard the Duck probably over a dozen times, and I still find it hilarious.
And you're still waiting for those behind the scenes footage.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episodes. Please let me know. If you'd like to some more from me, please subscribe. Many more game analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Trader John, signing off.